Okay, I think we'll get started now. First of all, thank you to everybody for taking the time to come and be part of this webinar. We wanted to run a webinar on Community Conserve just to help people understand better what it was, introduce it to a lot of people. Lots of folks aren't aware of it. What I'm going to do today is run through what it is and a little more detail around how it works, how municipalities engage with the tool. And then at the end, I also want to let you guys know about a new matching grant program that we're going to be starting up coming up pretty soon, in I think about a week. So I'll have all of the details about that at the end of the webinar as well. We've got about an hour set aside for this. I think we'll actually be done a little sooner than that. Just to let everyone know you're muted, what we'll do is we'll save the questions till the end, but if you want to use the chat box, enter your questions as we're going along. I'll just go through all of those questions at the end. Hopefully we can get through everybody's questions so that they know the answers to them before we go, but if not, I will have an email address at the end as well, and if you have something further you want to ask, you can just use that. Also, I want to let you know that the slide deck will be available. Again, just use that email and send it to, I'll show it to you again, but it's info@communityconserve.ca, and just let me know that you want to have a copy of the slide deck. We're also going to be recording the presentation, so we are going to figure out exactly how we'll post that, but we'll make sure that that's up. And for those of you who aren't aware, there's a newsletter that's associated with Community Conserve, goes out on a regular basis, and you can subscribe to that. Go to the site and you're able to sign up that way. But without further ado, I'll get started. So Community Conserve, like it says on the slide, it's a mechanism, it's a program to help municipalities pool the resources to address environmental issues. And it was set up by the Mistakis Institute and the Environmental Law Center. And we did that with the support of AUMA and RMA. And I'll describe a little bit more detail, just exactly how we work together on that. But what is Community Conserve? It is a website, it's a web platform, it's an online forum, allows municipal personnel to post ideas and vote on issues, the issues that they think are the most important environment and conservation issues. It's also a streamlined tool for helping municipalities pool their resources to address some of those issues. And then ultimately, it's a repository of all of the reports and tools and products or anything that comes out of Community Conserve. But it's also a capacity building program. That's why it was created. The idea is to help municipalities access environment and conservation expertise that they might need, to do so based on municipal viewpoints. I'm going to talk about that in a minute as well. And then provide that facilitation for the collaboration and for the co-funding that municipalities may want to do, but not necessarily have a mechanism for being able to do it. So to start with, why would a municipality consider Community Conserve? This is how we started with the program, was looking at some of the dilemmas that municipalities are facing. They're called on to address numerous environment and conservation dilemmas and issues. That might be because of legislation, or it might be because of community members, constituents calling councillors, whatever, but called on to address a number of these issues. Often when those conversations happen, the definition of the issues and the suggestions of the solutions are being defined by other people and being pressed to municipalities, and municipalities don't have the opportunities as much as they would like to be able to voice what they think the issues are. And then even once those are defined, trying to identify and access appropriate expertise to help can be extremely difficult. Funding is always a barrier, we know that. But there's also the case that sometimes there are other municipalities who are facing very similar issues, and despite all of the efforts that all municipal people go through to try and connect with others within their community, within their disciplines, it can be really challenging to keep track of who might also be facing an issue and who might want to partner on one of those issues. So Community Conserve was created to provide a couple of things. First of all, like I said, that forum for municipal personnel to say what they think are the priority environmental issues, a mechanism for municipalities to pool the resources to address those issues, and then in the end, a free and accessible repository of all of that knowledge and information. Because often it's the case that when a particular issue is addressed or information is created for it, it becomes proprietary or it becomes inaccessible. You just don't know that it exists. So Community Conserve was created to provide that repository as well. So who created Community Conserve? Who is behind it? It was the Mistakis Institute and the Environmental Law Center, both research-capable environmental organizations based in Alberta. Between the two organizations, they have about 60 years of experience and have worked with dozens of municipalities across Alberta, helping them with different aspects of their environmental challenges. We created the program with the support of Rural Municipalities of Alberta and Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, the two largest associations, and they take part in a variety of ways. I'll talk about this a little bit more in a second too, but they advise on the structure of the program, they help vet the project plans, and they help communicate the results back to their members. So provide that perspective from the sort of collective municipal perspective. You're going to hear me refer repeatedly to the Community Conserve team. This is who I'm talking about. It's representatives from those four organizations. But we're also supported by an advisory committee. And this is a group of people who come from a range of Alberta municipalities. They're all municipal people. And within a relatively small group, we've managed to be able to get people who are reeves and planners and parks people, small and large municipalities, urban and rural municipalities. So try and get a range of perspectives to advise us on a number of components in terms of the structure of the program, in terms of some of the projects that come through the program, like I said, a variety of different ways. So how does it work? There's basically 5 pieces to it. The first is, and I'm going to go through all of these in a little bit more detail, but the first is basically posting environmental issues and ideas, and then as a community, municipal community, collectively voting on those to identify which are the most important. Plans are created to try and address some of those issues, and then the opportunity for municipalities to co-fund those plans, and then ultimately all of that information back onto the site to be shared. So to go through that again in just a little bit more detail, the idea behind the posting part of it is using the website, using that web forum, any person from a municipality, staff, councillor, manager, whomever, can post their environmental issues or ideas from their municipality. And we say issues or ideas because we know that sometimes it's not the case that you have a clear sense of what the solution would be. You're just trying to articulate, this is something we're facing, this is a concern that we have. And it can be anybody from a municipality who posts that information. That posting is anonymous. We track the information on the back end with the Community Conserve team. So we'll see the names and the contact information, and sometimes we'll get back to those people just to clarify wording or edit some wording for the posting. But all of the postings then are put up anonymously. The second stage is the voting. And again, other municipal personnel can go onto the site and they click on those issues or ideas that they see in their municipality too, that they think are concerns or issues that their municipality would face as well. And you can vote for a whole bunch of different ideas. There are a number of ideas that are up on the site, and you can vote for a number of them. There's no limit on the number of ones that you can vote for. So a count of the votes for each one appears below the posted issue or idea. So you can keep track. You can see which ones are I guess, trending, which ones are the ones that are getting the most votes in that voting exercise. So the next step is to convert those ideas into something that you can actually take action on, that are actionable. So the Community Conserve team goes through a process of looking at the top vote getters and converts those into proposed project plans. So these are, at this stage, quite simple. They're just a simple outline of what could be done to try and address that issue, a simple budget, who would be doing the work, a simple timeline to give everybody kind of an idea of, okay, this is an approach that might be taken. That project plan is posted back onto the website so everybody can see it. This is where the co-funding can happen. So once those project plans are put back onto the site, municipalities can go on there and look at the project plans and see if there are any that they think that they would like to be part of. They see that as an issue and they want to contribute part of the budget, the part of the cost to that project. They can do that and they can indicate that on the site, and you can keep track of that on the site. Now, unlike the posting and the voting, which anybody can be part of, obviously the actual funding decisions, there's only certain people within a municipality who have the authority to commit funds. And we have a mechanism for ensuring that that is the case. Basically, on the site, what happens at this point is we call it starting the conversation. And there's a button called Start the Conversation. No funds actually transfer through the site. It's not like other kinds of crowdfunding and mechanisms where you click on your phone and immediately debit money from your bank account into. All this is starting that mechanism, starting the conversation so that we can have that discussion with the person from the municipality. And then the last step after the products are created, the results are created, tools, reports, whatever, all of those are shared back onto the Community Conserve site, and they're there available free of charge. You don't have to register or have a password or be from a particular group in order to share in those results. And what happens with all of those results is they're distributed through what's called a Creative Commons license. And there's different types of Creative Commons licenses, but the basic idea here is that it can be shared infinitely as long as it's not commercialized. Somebody doesn't start trying to make money off of it. And aside from that, you can take it, use it, modify it, do whatever it is that you want with it. So we want to make sure this information is truly freely available for everybody. Okay, so that's the basic overview description. I'm just going to give you a little bit more detail of kind of walking through the site and using a bit of an example, one of the examples that's already up there. So like I said, the participants can post an environment or conservation issue idea on here. Any municipal person, councillor, manager, staff can participate. You get a project idea submission form, and you enter a very short, simple description on that. So one example that came up was, what is the municipal role and liability in managing brownfields? Okay, that goes in. So then the next step is the voting. So municipal personnel can vote on those issues and ideas. So you can click on this one that says, okay, what is the municipal role and liability in managing brownfields? Yeah, that's something that applies to my municipality as well. I'm going to vote for that. And you can see the total vote count that comes up there. So the Community Conserve team converts those top ones into project plan proposals, like I said, and posts them back on the site for funding. So what happens when you go onto the site as a potential funder is you support a project through the Fund a Project page. So you can view these proposed project plans. You click on one. You click on the page and you can see all of them. You click on one of them and you say, okay, I want to see more information and more detail about that project. So you get a description of the project, including the proposed budget, the status, all of that information. And then you can choose to see if this project actually supports your needs. And note again down here at the bottom left, it's start the conversation. So you can indicate that your municipality is interested in partially funding or potentially fully funding, but at this point, there's no commitment that's made. You're just starting that conversation. And what that does is initiate, again, a back-end conversation between the Community Conserve team and you to identify exactly what the mechanics might be around that. And we recognize that in a lot of these cases, it might be, I think we can fund part of it. Our budget cycle is coming up. I'm not sure. And we have mechanisms for managing that in the way that it's presented on the website itself. So the last piece is getting the project results. Every completed project has its own page on the site. So this one was the ALSA Conservation Tools for Municipalities, a webinar series. All of the information from that project, there were a number of videos, there were a number of tools. All of that's posted back on the site and can be downloaded for free from the site. The other thing that you can see here is when a project is in progress. So it's been initiated, it was funded, and it's going along, you can see progress reports there on that same project page. So it'll tell you everything that's available to a certain point, and when the project is completely done, you'll see all of the information there. So just to give you kind of a description, again, I'll use that brownfield example, looking at the way that this would all play out. The brownfield project plan is created. The team develops the project plan, lays out the scope and the budget, starts that process of getting buy-in from municipalities who indicate that they want to be part of that on the site. The engagement can happen in a variety of different ways. It can happen all through the site, through that forum. There might be discussions that go on. You might, as a municipal person, want to talk to another municipality and say, hey, can you be part of this as well? All of those kinds of mechanisms can happen. Then there's the indication of the intention to fund. It says there the parties indicate their interest. They indicate the amount that they're likely to be able to contribute. And then everything is formalized with a granting agreement. I'm going to talk about that in a little more detail in just a second. But that's the whole process of seeking that authorization, the allocation, confirming everything, signing all of the grant agreements. And then that leads to the project being done. In this case, it was the Municipalities and Environmental Law. There was a series, and the Municipalities and Brownfields guidance report was created and is posted back on the site. So as a municipality, when you get to that stage and you're starting to think about, is this something that we might want to do? The things that you would be thinking about would be, okay, what kinds of funds can be accessed? Where are there funds within the municipality that I can access? Are there other municipalities who are facing the same issue? And I might want to contact them, ask them to consider this, take a look at the site. All of your internal processes, again, there's mechanisms for trying to match budget cycles and that sort of thing, but thinking through all of that. Like I mentioned, the grant, it is a grant agreement that is used for the transfer of all of the funds, and it's all made available through a Creative Commons license. So is everyone within your organization or your department, the ones who are going to be involved in this, aware of that nature? And then who within the municipality can help provide value? Because there is a step, I didn't go into detail about this, but what we do is we strike a working group for each one of these projects, and the people who are funding it have a person on that team who can help with refining it and identifying if there's a case study that needs to be focused on, where would that case be, or if there are some question marks still about different routes that can be taken within the methodology. Who within the municipality can help with that refinement process? And then ultimately, how will the results be used? What's the relevance for you and your municipality in using anything that might come out of Community Conserve? So there are a number of projects that have been completed within Community Conserve. I mentioned the Municipalities and Brownfields. I mentioned the ALSA conservation tools for municipalities webinars. All of the slide decks and videos are available there. Municipal management of industrial development, there's a guide on that. For municipalities who want to create their own conservation easement program and hold easements within the municipality, there's a guide directly focused on Alberta municipalities for that. What are the considerations and the legalities of management of water bodies for municipalities? There's an overview of that. There is a primer and a model bylaw for environmental assessment for municipalities. And a general review of what's the scope of municipal powers related to the environment for municipalities. And then a white paper looking at the ways that different Alberta municipalities have applied the environmental reserve tool. So those are the kinds of things that would be created within the Community Conserve context. Those are the things that are currently have been completed, are available on the site. And I'll mention that the budgets for each of these are between $20,000 and $30,000, but there is no minimum or maximum. Obviously, it's based on the complexity of the issue and the number of municipalities who want to be involved in something. So the grant agreement, the mechanism that we identified through all of our consultation that would work best for trying to allow municipalities to pool their funds, because there are a number of challenges legally and in terms of collaboration in trying to pool funds between different governments, different municipal governments. The mechanism that was created is the grant agreement. This is, again, it's important for everybody to understand that it will be a grant agreement. It lays out the scope of the services that would be provided within this grant, and obviously that's different for every single project. Lays out all of the timing. It lays out considerations around cancellation or termination, and there's a couple of considerations there. One is just the basics of everybody has a 60-day ability to terminate the agreement, but also there may be cases where not full funding has been achieved, and we've built in a timeline and kind of a safety valve in that grant agreement, so that if full funding isn't achieved, there are mechanisms for backing out of the grant agreement or modifying the grant agreement if everybody agrees to that. So when you are a municipality looking at Community Conserve, we can kind of boil down the ways that you would use it into kind of 3 different scenarios. The first is you want to contribute to a Community Conserve project that you see on the site. So that means you see that there's an idea that got enough votes to be converted into a project plan, and you look at that project and you think, yes, that could help my municipality. You think that your municipality can commit some of the project budget, and so you go to the Fund a Project page, you find that project, and you click the Start the Conversation, and then it rolls through the way that I described. The second mechanism might be leveraging funding for a project that you've come up with. So instead of it's the idea or issue, it's actually an existing environment or conservation project. You've got another this is the case of it being an issue or idea. You've got another municipality or several that you want to partner with, and you each have some money, but not the full project budget, and you want to use the Community Conserve mechanism to help leverage that funding and generate other partners for it. So you contact Community Conserve, ask for the project to be posted straight onto the Fund a Project page. And then the third one is using the Community Conserve platform for your existing project. So it's a similar kind of situation. You've got the environment and conservation project in development already. You've got one or several municipal partners, and together you have the full project budget perhaps, but you don't have the expertise, you're not sure where to access that, or you don't have a mechanism for pooling the funds, or you don't have a way for distributing the results, or these are the kinds of considerations that you're looking for that are important to you within the project. You can contact Community Conserve and ask for the project to be conducted through Community Conserve to try and address some of those gaps that you have in your existing project. So those are the standard ways of using Community Conserve. I mentioned at the beginning that we've got a new funding opportunity as well, a matching grant opportunity that we're going to be starting. I think we're aiming for a September 15th launch for this matching grant. So what this will be, the basic opportunity here is as much as $10,000 for each for 5 different projects. The call will go out between September 15th and December 31st, so that'll be that period of time. I'll describe the process in just a second. All of those projects will get reviewed by the Community Conserve team, and we'll also have a mechanism where the advisory committee weighs in on that as well. So we have sort of a dual mechanism for rating those projects. We're planning on the completion window being probably the 4 to 6 months after that, but it's really dependent on the project. Some might be much smaller than that, some might be bigger than that. So the process is quite straightforward. It's just submit a simple proposal to info@communityconserve.ca. That's the main email address for Community Conserve, and I've got a slide at the end where you can see that again. And like I said, it's simple. You're just going to tell us your idea or issue. So you're kind of mirroring just the Community Conserve process already, who your municipal partner is and how much you can contribute. So what we will do is take that and, same as the usual process, create a project plan and then send it back to you and ask, does this meet what you're looking for? Is this the direction that you want to go with that? The guidelines for it are, again, pretty much the guidelines for Community Conserve in general. It's got to be an environment and conservation issue. It's got to be something where you're looking for foundational information that you're missing. So that means background information or development of a tool that will help with that, some sort of guidance or guidebook. Maybe it's a legal foundation or review of the issue in broad terms, a review of the policy, all of that kind of information. It has to be proposed by an Alberta municipality. It can't be proposed by someone on behalf of a municipality or a citizen within. It has to come from the municipality. And it's got to be applicable to multiple Alberta municipalities, so not just the need for one municipality. So this is a principle of the Community Conserve mechanism, is the idea of pooling funds to address issues that everybody is facing. There are cases where after that general issue has been considered, individual municipalities want further help, and there's absolutely nothing stopping that happening. It just will happen in a different kind of mechanism, a more one-to-one relationship with whoever it is they need to help them out further to apply that more specifically within their municipality. But within the Community Conserve mechanism, the idea is to come up with things that will help multiple municipalities. So how do you access Community Conserve? You just go to the site. So it's www.communityconserve.ca. You see the site and you run through it in exactly the way that I've just described. You'll see all of the same boxes that you've seen throughout this presentation. Like I mentioned, there's no registration, there's no fees, there's none of those mechanisms. You just go directly into the site. Again, all of the products are created under a Creative Commons license, so that means they're all freely available. You go to the Completed Projects tab and you can download anything from there. And there's also the ability to sign up for the newsletter. There's a couple of different places where you can do that. Right on the main page, it says sign up for updates. And it's not a frequent newsletter. We send it out uh, about quarterly, unless there's something particular that's happening, just to update you on the things that are showing up on the site, projects that are in progress, or things like this new granting program. So all of that information comes directly to you as well if you want to get that more specifically. So that's the overview of the Community Conserve mechanism. Like I said, it's a web platform, but that's really just the technology. It's intended to be a capacity building mechanism for Alberta municipalities. So I see already that Jocelyn has posted a question, but I'm going to just work through those questions. If you have any question, please find the chat box and enter that question, and I will answer it for you. So Jocelyn said, I had previously received the newsletter regularly, but have not received anything in 2019. So I'm not sure if there's some sort of problem, Jocelyn, but we will check that out and make sure that you do get the updates. We use a MailChimp mechanism, and sometimes it does unsubscribe people based on an assumption of what it's receiving back, and we have to go in and correct it. So I'll make sure, Jocelyn, that you're getting the updates. There were a few in 2019. The most recent ones were about the changes that are coming, including the granting program. So you haven't missed anything very recently. And it looks like that might be the only questions. Just while I wait to see if anybody else has any questions, I'll just again note that email, if you have any questions, send to that email. If you would like a copy of the slide deck, send to that email. If you would like us to come out and talk to your group or to your municipality, you think you would like to see this information presented to a broader group of people within your municipality, we're more than happy to do that as well. We have some resources to be able to do that. And I'm just going to finish off with a thank you to the Max Bell Foundation and to an anonymous foundation who were the funders behind this whole project and have been the ones who made this whole program, made us able to be able to do this program. So unless there's any other questions, I think, have you had any interest in air quality monitoring issues within? No, we haven't. There haven't been any air quality issues. There's been lots of water. There have been some legal environment issues, but we haven't seen anything around air quality. Gravel pits came up a couple of times as well. Those are some of the things that have been showing up. But I will encourage you, Jocelyn, if you think that there should be something like that, go and post it on the site and see if people start voting for that. Okay, well, like I said, I knew we would end a fair amount earlier, so hopefully people have time to get back and have their lunch as well. Oh, and how does one get an opportunity to get a seat on the advisory board? We put together the advisory board after a discussion with all of our partners and team, and then approached a number of people to ask them to be part of the advisory board. But we definitely will be renewing that as we go along. So again, if you're interested in being on that, just send me an email about that. Okay, well, like I said, if you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'll also note that Jason Unger, the Environmental Law Center, is doing webinars like this as well. So both the Environmental Law Center and the Mistakis Institute will be the ones behind the email address answering your questions as needed. Okay, thanks very much, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.